Hello and welcome to English 1180. This is an online course for the winter 2023 semester. My name is Laura Gabriel. I am your professor for this course and I look forward to working with all of you. The first thing that you're going to notice in our Canvas page is a set of course resources. You'll see that the course syllabus is here, a grading rubric for our discussion forums, the percentage distribution of individual assignments, some citation information that won't be anything that you need until project number 3, and then McComb's grading scheme, just in case you want to review that. Let's go back to the course syllabus. When you click on that link, you'll notice that you've got access to the course syllabus. Our class is entirely online, so there are some procedural bits of information a little bit lower, but I do want to call your attention to our online text. You do not need to purchase a book from the bookstore. If you look at our Let's Get Writing textbook, which is an open educational resource, you've got your chapters here, and when you click on the chapter, it will take you right to it. And often I only have you reading certain sections within that chapter, so I label that in the reading assignments. You have obviously an academic conduct policy regarding plagiarism. If you do plagiarize, you will receive a failing grade on the assignment. If you have a second incident, which hopefully no one will even have a first incident, you will receive a failing grade in the course. You can see that our projects are distributed according, to 100% over the course of the semester, and you can see the McComb grading scheme attached. Please realize you will be peer reviewing and sharing your work this semester. We do have a late submission policy. You're allowed 2 late assignments for the entire semester. Forms do have their own rubric, so if a form's late, I'll follow that particular forum for the late grades. But if you turn in other assignments, you are allowed to turn in late. They will be reduced by 10% of the points possible, and it must be turned in no later than 1 week after the original due date. Now, the final portfolio is due on the very last day of the class for the semester, which is a Saturday. It doesn't matter to me if you've turned in 2 late assignments already. The portfolio, if it is late, will automatically be reduced 20 points because from the time that you turn in that portfolio until Wednesday of that week, I need to submit your final grades. For Macomb, you only are, allowed 3 business days to turn in final grades after the last day of the semester. So it impacts both of us, and that would result in a reduction of points. I will definitely be giving you feedback on your work this semester. You can expect that within 3 to 5 days of a submission date, unless it's a bigger project. If it's a bigger project, it could be 1 to 2 weeks after the submission date, but typically I would say it's more in the area of 1 week. Now, another thing that you can expect from me is that within 24 hours, if you email me, I'll respond. So if for some reason I don't respond, double check that you sent it to the right email address. If you decide that you don't want to take this course, you'll want to withdraw in as an official withdrawal so that you don't end up failing the class at the end of the semester. You'll notice that the weeks of the course are lined up exactly like you'll see them in Canvas. You'll always have a video, a reading assignment. Well, towards the end of the semester, you won't have a reading assignment every single week. You'll have something to review, and you'll have assignments that you need to do. So if you go back to Canvas and outside of this course syllabus, you'll notice it's set up just that way. So you'll have a week 1 video, you'll have a reading assignment. Your reading assignment will always link our textbook and tell you which chapters and sections you need to read. And you'll have a lot of supplemental, this time it's only 1, but often there will be 2 or 3 supplemental PowerPoints that will guide you in both the grammar part as well as the writing portion of this particular course. Please note that most of the time you'll have assignments due all on the same day, which is typically Sunday of that week, but at times it's staggered because you need to get something in ahead of something else. So for example, this is a peer review that's ahead of the Project 1 final copy. So just kind of keep that in mind. I will always send weekly reminders to keep you aware of that, and the weekly videos also go over those dates. The grading rubric for discussion forums just lets you know what would get you the biggest number of points down to what would get you the least amount of points. So if it's more than 72 hours late, you'll automatically have a 0. However, if it's only 6 hours late, you'll be reduced to a 5, but you'll get at least some points for that particular forum. This percentage distribution of individual assignments allows you to think about, in the event that you've got a couple of things due at the end of the week and you're under pressure, this will always allow you to see which things are weighted more in the scheme of things. So maybe it's going to be 10 o'clock on a Sunday night and you have 2 assignments due. You're going to probably want to pick the one that gives you the biggest bang for your buck, really. All right, and as I said, the citation information is going to come in handy for project number 3. Projects 1 and 2 should only be from your own personal experience. So you don't want to add any extraneous details, no outside research, anything that you find online. This is just from your own experiences for projects 1 and 2. Project 3, though, does start to bridge that gap into English 1190, which is the next course in the series. So you are going to, cite sources. So you'll need to think about parenthetical citations in the text of your paper, as well as citing electronic sources on something like a works cited page. So, and like I said, we'll build up to that. The only other thing that I wanted to point out is that often I have students who use Google Docs as opposed to Word docs. You can turn in either. I've made it so that all of your assignments can either be a file upload, which would be most likely a Word document or a PDF, or you can copy and paste the link to that particular Google document into a text box. The only thing that I want to make sure that you understand is I do not have a Google address, a Gmail, sorry, that makes more sense, associated with this particular, with macomb.edu. So what you'll need to do if you want me to look at any of your work in just Google Docs is you'll just make sure when you go to share, the button on the right-hand side, you'll choose anyone with the link can view. If you want me to be able to make comments in it, you could put anyone in the, anyone with the link can edit, and I'm happy to add the comments right into the Google Doc. But again, if you share it with gabrielle@macomb.edu, I won't be able to access it. So just make sure you keep that in mind. I can't think of anything else. I would just say it's going to be a great semester. If you just stay on track, you'll be fine. And each week is pretty well leading into the next as far as building up your, writing skills so that you can, publish in Canvas by turning it in and sharing it with your classmates. And nice, argumentative, an academic argument by the end of the semester. And that's really what we're building up for, because that is something that you'll be doing throughout English 1190. If you have any questions as we move through the course, don't hesitate to email me. We can always Zoom. And I look forward, again, to working with all of you.